Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
First, a word from our sponsor. The Daily Compliance News for November 16, 2022, Let the Games Begin edition. And we begin with that story from Reuters, who reports that the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit has set Tuesday, November 22nd for oral arguments in the DOJ's challenge to the judge's appointment of an independent arbiter to vet records seized by the FBI from the former president's Mar-a-Lago estate. So for those of you who thought it would be an easy Thanksgiving, well, it's going to be a tough for some. It's going to be interesting to see if Trump's lawyers actually will state anything on the record. Next up, from the Wall Street Journal, Risk and Compliance Journal, Richard Vanderpoort reporting that the hot market for cyber insurance finally begins to stabilize and harden. This cyber insurance obviously can be used to pay ransoms to hackers who lock companies' tech systems or offset the cost of responding to a breach. Now the premium increases of the recent years seem to be slowing, if not halting entirely, as insurers get better at evaluating risks. New market entrants begin offering coverage, and supply and demand asserts itself. Next up, from the New York Times, Walmart agrees to pay $3.1 billion to settle opioid suits. Walmart's the world's largest retailer, has agreed to pay that amount to resolve thousands of lawsuits over its pharmacies' role in the opioid crisis. The agreement follows deals announced by CVS and Walgreens, which are still being finalized. If finalized, a total amount from the 3 giant pharmacy retailers would reach about $13.1 billion, including $400 million for Native American tribes. The tribes are to be paid $89 million from the Walmart deal. This money and earlier settlements is expected to go towards drug treatment and education, and to help companies combat the continuing addiction wave, largely fueled by illegal fentanyl. And our final story comes to us from RadioFreeEurope, a sometimes commentator, albeit rarely to the Daily Compliance News, who reports that several former officials from Kazakhstan's western Atyrau region have been handed prison terms for corruption charges. A court sentenced the region's former deputy general and ex-chief of regional culture directorate to 7 years each in prison. The court stated at the start of the prison term will be delayed because the former deputy governor has underage children. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.